Hello and welcome to another episode of Minnesota Liberty Podcast, sponsored by the Libertarian Party of Minnesota. And I am one of your hosts, Rebecca Whiting. I have with me tonight TJ Hawthorne and Joey G. So, a lot has been happening around the globe in Minnesota. Like, I don't think if we take a night off, it's because we're like having me time or whatever. But like, there's so much going on right now. The content is almost making itself at this point. So we have a lot to talk about this evening because there's like ICE still in Minnesota. They said there was going to be they were going to draw down to send people home, but that's not actually happening. First of all, second of all, the Epstein stuff is just like right there, all the time. And with literally millions and millions of files, every time you get into it, you find something new and just as dark and disturbing as the thing you found before that. And it's allowing all of this. It's an opportunity for people to really see the things that are happening for what they are. And there's a lot of people, I think, that are going into this that are finding themselves completely and utterly disgusted, which is a natural response, but shocked that any of this could have happened in the first place, right? That a lot of people are falling into that category of just, holy cow, how did this happen? But this has literally been going on for decades and decades. And in the past, the people that talked about this were seen as conspiracy theorists, and now it's mainstream. So when your conspiracy theories become conspiracy reality, where do you go from there? And you start to see things for what they actually are, not for what you hoped they would be. You know what I mean? So that's where we're at.
Yeah, would that be the red pill, or is that ultimately the black pill when it gets to this point, right? Where
I don't even know. Is that red pill?
When you finally know the truth, right? But recently, I don't know how recently, but it's been a little while now since I've heard the quote, it's much easier to fool a man than to convince him that he's been fooled, or something like that. And that's where a lot of this is, where a lot of disbelief or then straight up anger of, okay, now what? And why is nothing happening? And folks just react like that. So then if nothing's happening, well, then it must be false, must be a hoax if nobody's doing anything about it. But then you look at the folks that are in charge of prosecuting, like Pam Bondi and her ridiculous antics while she's being grilled in Congress.
The political theater was on full display with that one.
Yeah, it's been a week now since that's happened, and it's been all over. If anybody's watching, which anybody who watches this, I'm sure, has seen all the fun stuff that I've got queued up on a few different windows here. Some of the really ridiculous things that she said. I mean, jaw-dropping.
But deflections. The Dow is 50,000, TJ. Don't you know? None of this matters because the Dow is 50,000. I don't know.
That's just one. That's the big one.
Yeah. Does the Dow help you buy your daily ration of rice and beans? Because it doesn't affect mine at all, actually.
Yeah, it seemed like and I don't know the story of Marie Antoinette all that well, but I think that's kind of the premise, right? I think that's kind of the thing where she's just totally oblivious of what's really going on with the people that are right there and say the Dow and I mean the same can be said over the Democrats and I don't want to lose track of the topic, right? But the idiocracy goes both ways, and it's really hilarious on what folks talk about price gouging and things, but I don't want to get off topic. So,
that's what we do here.
Her reactions, and then the folks on Twitter or Facebook or other social medias, all the influencers are showing their true colors too, right?
Oh yeah.
It's just plain obvious.
Man, look,
So
I had, during COVID lockdowns, there was a lot of heat, and rightfully so, on like the COVID hotlines where you could call and turn in your neighbors,
Walls of snitch
were,
line.
having friends over or weren't social distancing or weren't wearing their masks. You could call on businesses that were letting people in and doing business and weren't wearing their masks, right? That was a thing in Minnesota.
Yeah.
You could call that. But the right also, not everybody, there's some people that are, I think quietly there's a contingent of the people that would more closely associate with the right than the left, that are just kind of taking this all in and being like, I don't agree with this, because I've talked to those people there. That's where they would originate from, and they don't like what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But there are also people on the right that are using that same tactic of essentially the COVID hotlines to turn in neighbors who they think are illegal. And they're being absolutely 100% open and public about this, like even like patting themselves on the back because look how good of a citizen they are for turning in illegal immigrants or undocumented people, and they don't even necessarily know, like they're a Hispanic person.
Different.
And so clearly, I mean, I've seen this online. There's people doing this and they're glad about it. I don't see how they can make a correlation.
I mean, it seems obvious to me, and the other. Once you other somebody and it makes it okay to be against them, right? The common enemy. That's the whole thing, that politicians want to get us all against one or the other. And when you have 50-50, then we're, most of us are sitting on the outside seeing all this going on. But that's what I see it being. It's, hey, hate them. It's always someone else. And so that's all it took. And useful idiots are going to go ahead and dial 1-800 hate them and go ahead and snitch on your neighbor.
Well, that's how you end up when you divide people.
Yeah.
That's how the division has been successful, is when they can't see the other side as equal human beings to who they are. That's how you see that successful. And you see that time and time again through all of history. And I'm thinking even just more close to our own history in time, American history, where you see, the civil rights era that came in post-Civil War, where you had white dirt farmers basically who didn't have 2 pennies to scrape together to do anything. They're very impoverished. But what the Dixiecrats didn't want from the poor dirt farmers, the white dirt farmers, was to be on equal footing with the freshly freed slaves that were also in the South, because the rich and powerful are always the minority. They don't have they don't have the bodies like the rest of us do, and so they rely on that division down at the bottom for us to fight over the scraps. That's what's happening right now too.
Oh yeah. Yep. And man, it's very interesting how I find myself agreeing with all my lefty friends nowadays on the social media, and it's like, yeah, right on. But remember just a few years ago, come on, just think about, let's try to associate these things and let's all learn together on how it's all authoritarianism that's bad. Okay.
This is one of those things that makes me feel like the path that I took was a natural path to take in politics, where I started on the left and then I went to the right, and then I realized they were both wrong because I have object permanence.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I saw something like that somebody was criticizing libertarians that had sided with Trump during the last election cycle. And there was, let's be real, there was a lot of people that were like, hey, Trump's our guy, because Trump promised, ending the swamp, and releasing the Epstein files. And he
and
was
stopping the dying, particularly.
Yeah, so he was going to do all
that
these
was that moment right there would have turned me into a Trump supporter if I had not known better.
Right.
That was an excellent campaign moment on the debate stage, talking over the unbiased media moderator for the debate, who was trying to reiterate some pointed question, trying to get Trump to call Putin a war criminal or something, saying we need to stop the dying, that's the most important thing. That is the anti-war position. The anti-war position, it does not help to call whoever is in charge of the opposition side in a war. It doesn't help to call them names. It helps to sit down and hammer out a way to stop shooting each other.
Man.
Which has
if only that had been what he actually did. If only he had followed through on the promise of
day one.
And before day one, before he even was sworn in. That was what he said. Before he was even sworn in. Once it was clear that Biden wasn't in charge.
He's stopped 8 different wars since he's been president.
Oh my gosh.
I remember that's what he said.
I mean, why would we keep say that?
Bombing Iran has we're gonna just forget about that one.
Yeah.
Invading Venezuela, we're gonna forget about that one too. Let's see what else. Supplying money to Israel to keep bombing Gaza. Yeah, we're just gonna not talk about that one either.
Continuing the Ukraine war grift even after promising that it was about to be over.
Man,
you know what I found? But my husband Keith and I were talking about this on the way home because we actually had our tax appointment this afternoon. So we were talking about
your theft appointment.
Yes, our theft appointment. But he made the comment. He was like, I saw something on Facebook that he was like, and I agreed with it. But then I realized it came from Occupied Democrats. And I can't share that.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. One of my old Navy pals is a complete commie, and some of the things are like, yeah, but man, I'm telling you.
Where were you guys when it was Biden and Kamala? And there's the thing is that people are like criticizing all these libertarians that were like, supporting Trump during the last election cycle. And now they're like, but now all you guys are doing is criticizing. Well, yeah. I know for the record was never a Trump supporter. But a lot of people were, and that's Trump bought into the libertarian vote. That was one of the necessary things he had to do to become the next president, right? But now people are like, well, why are you guys you voted for this? No, people voted for something totally different. And what people can't comprehend in a lot of cases is that consistently the libertarian people who identify as libertarians are going to react based on principle, not propaganda. And so when there's things that are going on and they're like, even though I voted for this guy, I don't like this. And they're like, why are you being so negative? Why are you being so critical? I don't know. Maybe blowing up people is a reason to be critical. Maybe.
Yeah.
And marching feds down the neighborhood streets is just not okay with me, man.
Or doing a complete 180 on the existence of the Epstein files.
Yeah, masked federal agents. The irony there, not lost.
Right. Yeah, that one had a lot of Minnesota Republicans showing their true colors as well. And it still is, and it makes me really dig into some of these guys that I hope to have as colleagues someday, but you know what I mean? Where it's how do they find it in themselves to just lose all their integrity and say one thing out this side of their mouth and another? And of course, we all know this is typical politicians, right? This is what they do. But man, I really do feel like at the Minnesota Capitol level, there are a good number of folks that are just regular folks like me, like us, and they still pull this stuff.
Yeah, honestly, in Minnesota, for the biggest disappointment for me has been the Liberty Republicans,
Yeah.
and that they, you know, they a lot of them help us on issues. But I've come to realize through all of this that they will put their party before principle, because they are. And I mean, I've texted a few of them about it and being like, this is you guys are wrong.
Yeah.
This is wrong. And it doesn't, they are so worried about their position in the state, in the legislature, or in wherever it is, that they will put their party before a principle and before everything else that's going on. No matter, it can be the Epstein stuff, it can be invading Venezuela, it will be soon, probably in the next few weeks,
Iran.
Like, that's where we're headed. This is just, if you know American history, or really maybe even any human history, if we're being honest, like this, nothing new has ever happened. This is all old. These patterns are old. But when you have leadership in a country like ours, and it doesn't matter if it's Republican or Democrat, and they have some big thing that's going on and they don't like the negative attention that it's bringing them, they make something new to take away that attention. We're on the verge of that happening again. So in a few weeks from now, let's revisit this conversation. What's the new thing? Because right now, the Epstein files are 100% on most people's, like, you're paying attention. It's the Epstein files, because the implications of what those files hold are so massive. This will have global repercussions, the financial repercussions.
I wish I had a
ability.
Yeah. I wish I had a button right now to hit that Bongino. Don't let this go away. You always got to stick on this, right? And this is what the thing is. We really need to stick on this and not let this go away, even though he, again, another one of these people. But like you said, it's been going on for decades. And who knows? I feel like the whole bribery and blackmail and all that stuff, sure, that's always been part of it, but the whole child, and underage is underage. I don't really care. You know what I mean? When you're not old enough to consent. And even if a woman is, I don't even know how to explain it, where some folks are trying to play it off like, oh, these girls knew what they were doing. And it's like, no. They're so vulnerable, and it's just
okay.
Ridiculous.
Let's just say hypothetically that's even true. And I'm not going to go down that path towards this, but let's just say there are teenage girls underage. They're still underage, and they're like, "Yeah, I want to do this." You, as the adult, have the responsibility to tell them no. That
exactly.
You're the adult. You're supposed to say no as a result, not make it a turn a profit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, man. Oh, what about the Michael Jackson stuff, right?
Oh, like man.
All which I've believed, I've seen some truth within the last few years that says, oh my gosh, he was totally on the side of exposing, and that's why he was totally gaslit into being shown as this pedo.
Yeah, and you know what's awful about that is that he, for years, was the one being accused of doing this.
Right.
Like they did that to him. They drug his name through the dirt. I mean, I remember it was the late 80s, early 90s. When Neverland Ranch became a thing. I mean, I remember as a kid how he was being talked about. Just as a weirdo or whatever. And now it's like, but none of them could come out and be like, hey, no, actually, this is what's going on. First of all, how are you going to get that information out? Like, honestly, having the internet that we have and the way that communication is set up right now, to where Like the flow of information is just so much, so fast. Nobody can control it. Back then, you didn't have that advantage.
Oh, they still have those advantages. I mean, and it's getting better and better for the freedoms, I believe, as far as, look back at 2020. That there was all kinds of silencing, and that's how that really got its foothold of being as big as it was, because folks were being silenced all over the place. But you're totally right. But when they had the three big networks, and that's all they had to control is Tom Brokaw, and it was totally
ABC, CNN, and Fox, probably.
What's that called? Paperclip, or what? It was a whole CIA operation. That is
no. Operation Paperclip was post World War II.
That was the Nazi scientist.
Yeah, Nazi scientist.
Mockingbird was what it was called, or is called. It's still totally there, man. I mean, I think they're totally infiltrated.
Well, and what is Operation? I'm going to Google this because.
So on a similar note, I want to say this before I lose the thought. But have you guys heard of Lions of Liberty? Brian McWilliams, who's the LP comms director, the National Party comms director, and a couple of his college buddies, Mark. I forgot his last name. Mark Clare and John Odermatt. Anyways, they all went to Penn State, and they've got a series. They have a Lions Liberty network, podcasting network or whatever, but they've got a series of their show talking about how Jerry Sandusky is also innocent, and that old man's still sitting in prison. And I'm convinced. I'm totally convinced, and they convinced me of this 3-4 years ago when I started listening to them. I just happened to get in on this series, and I've listened to their whole explanation, and it's like, holy cow. And there's no way Brian McWilliams is about to stick up for a pedo. You know what I mean? And I know this kind of stuff.
So I remembered what Operation I was just thinking about, because during CIA JFK era, there was Operation Northwoods. Operation Northwoods was there was a intentional CIA operatives going out and planting false information.
Sure.
I don't think they've stopped with that strategy, and if that's true, today I read something else. Here's the thing: there's so much coming out right now. There's so much information, but I was reading a thread that QAnon, right? I never got into that kind of stuff, but I know people that did.
Yeah, same.
But was actually run by Epstein.
Which didn't actually surprise me all that much to hear.
Right? So what's real?
Well, I mean, who said that? I guess I didn't hear that part of it, but how could we ever believe that? That's like, I've also heard Epstein started Bitcoin. Epstein's a real Yamamoto or whatever the guy's name is.
What that rumor caused Bitcoin to do? Did you see what Bitcoin's at now? I'll look it up really quick. It tanked.
I don't trust any of that stuff, although I believe in the idea of Bitcoin 100%. But Q from Star Trek.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Bitcoin right now is sitting at
that Dow
67,000, and it was at 120.
So let's I got a few clips queued up of Pam Bondi's idiot.
Sure, let's watch
idiocy.
that.
So let's see the first one.
At this point in like the whole timeline of this, the content's kind of just making itself.
Oh, it's this one. Okay.
Respond, and then the gentleman can move to his question.
Within 40 minutes, you asked me a question. Within 40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
Red-handed? There was one redaction out of
he's
over
listed as a co-conspirator.
And we invited you in.
So this is where, like, they unredacted Wexner's name once, and then say, well, because he was in the files all these other times, what's the big deal? It's like, And Massey must have been sick this day, and he still showed up. But he's like, yeah, one time that I forced you, caught you red-handed, and she's just, oh, I just don't know.
I think that she's probably in the files.
Well, okay.
Or people that she's very, very close to are in the files. So she's either in them or 1 degree away from them.
Interesting.
Oh,
check this out.
I guess this is where you were going next.
Well, no, it's a great segue. It was perfectly that you said that. Like, look at all this. I mean, she was AG of Florida, right? So
is that John McCain?
But John McCain and all the Bushes and Romney. Hey, man.
So she is the swamp, and she has been
absolutely.
For a very long time.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that the Trump 2.0 was never a drain the swamp regime, because all of his appointees were either corruptible or were already a part of the swamp. Yeah,
here's the thing, is that I you got to wonder, because I do. Well, maybe you don't, but I do. What is it? What's the purpose? Because they only have, everybody knows a president's term is only 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't get another term after this because this is his second term, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is he trying to accomplish? I
think
that's really the question that needs answering.
The only thing that I can see it as, because it's obviously not to assuage the fears of the U.S. populace, because this is the opposite of how you would do that.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can see this as is assuaging the fears of the Epstein class.
Then why campaign on releasing the files?
Because it was a popular talking point, and presidents have gotten elected on popular talking points since people started listening to them speak before they were elected.
But surely he had to think that if he won, people were going to hold him to that, right?
Yeah, but that's why Bongino and Kash Patel et al. In charge of it, because then they take the fall for it because they have popular audiences, and then Trump still gets to be popular, and it's everybody else.
That's not what's happened.
Yeah, no, it's not. But
not in our circles.
Trump,
I don't know if you guys follow Rocks and Cows.
Disposable, and I think he mostly does view people as disposable. They are useful. So they are good so long as they are useful to him. And Kash Patel, and more importantly at this moment, Dan Bongino, used to be useful to him.
That's just such an elitist, like using people as. I saw something today by Scott Martin, who I don't feel bad about dropping this. He's going to be at our state convention March 28th and 29th here in Owatonna, Minnesota. But he had a quote today that, you really got to start hating the government as much as the government hates you.
Yep.
And that's not too much to ask. Just hate the government as much as the government hates you.
Yeah.
Because they hate you a lot. They see people like us as nothing. They do. I mean, look, they're
worse than nothing, because nothing doesn't get in your way. We're a caltrop.
We're going to go to war with Iran. That's the only way out of the Epstein stuff. And I was talking with one of our guys, Nick, on Monday morning, and we were talking about the Epstein files. And I made the comment that something really big is going to happen to take the heat off the Epstein files. And I was like war with Iran. Like, that's literally that afternoon, I was listening to NPR. Don't laugh. I listen to NPR so I know what the liberals are thinking, okay? I like to know that. Like, their talking points and what they're talking about, so that's my avenue. I listen to NPR a lot.
Yeah, when I was a delivery driver, I listened to NPR on my deliveries.
Yeah, I listened. Yeah, but on NPR, I heard a clip from Lindsey Graham, who was saying we need to be dropping bombs in Iran within 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's a really short timeline.
Well, that's Lindsey Graham. I mean, he's always like that, always. But it's not to discount it, because he's usually the one making it happen. How, for some reason, even though Congress isn't the one that votes to go to war anymore.
I'm gonna put this up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. It's
I like
NPR.
I wanted to recognize
Minnesota Public Radio
Yes.
in Minnesota. I am. I'm a little.
It's our own local NPR affiliate.
Yeah, they're not so bad. I mean,
They're kind of
they're
bad.
still NPR, but
We're kind of sometimes it depends.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess I have another one that I really wanted to share, and
Sure.
I'm trying to. Oh, here it is.
Want to know were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
1, 2, 3.
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to
Note the non-answer.
Deflect.
from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files.
I reclaim my time.
And then all this reclaimed time crap, like, you know what? That I don't know if I could ever get used to that. In that, when Massey was trying to, and she just starts going off, and Jim Jordan would kind of be like, "Oh, and the gentlelady has the opportunity to say whatever she wants." It's like, no, he's reclaiming this is, and it got really annoying. Jim Jordan got on my nerves during that hearing too, man, because he's pretty good on a lot of things, but it's obvious this party over principle crap is infecting all these folks, and I'm sure he's totally been infected. I catch the clips of him saying good things. You know what I mean? Josh Hawley and there's a lot of folks that can say. Ben Shapiro says good things on sometimes. When he talks economics. Sometimes
when he does when Democrats are in the White House.
Right. So it's very interesting where we're not trying to be echo chambers. Obviously, you just admitted to listening to NPR. You know what I mean? So we're not living in our echo chamber.
You can't be a libertarian and live in an echo chamber, because I don't have other friends that are not enough of us to create an echo chamber. Okay, there's literally no such thing as a libertarian echo chamber.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I agree. We talk about normies all the time, or whatever you want to say. The folks that just haven't swallowed the red pill yet.
There's a difference between being fed up with the politically uninitiated saying the things that they've been told to say for the 19,000th time, and actually being in an echo chamber.
Yeah, definitely. And you see how polished some of these folks are. They did just know the things. Okay, kind of a little segue where Dave Smith was talking about Stephen A. Smith. Do you know who he is? Do you guys know who he is? He's ESPN. He's the guy from ESPN, the black guy that goes off on some rants sometimes, and he'll get into the politics when there's something, like Kaepernick kneeling and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Those issues. And he talked about the ICE stuff in Minnesota, I believe. But, man, Dave Smith made a point, and he's got a point. But the thing was, Stephen A. Smith literally said, well, I don't know about all this about policy, but give me a couple years. Okay, let me hit the books, and I'll be ready. It's like I'll give him a couple years to read a couple books, and I can be president. Like, yeah, that's really interesting. But guess what? Holy cow, that is extremely likely. Like
a lot of these ideas have been around for more than a couple years.
Absolutely, right. But he the way Dave made the point of and Robbie too. Robbie made a great point on it. It just all it takes is some surface level debate, right, and to talk about stuff that at least as of right now, at least as it has been. I'm putting a lot of faith in people of learning a lot more, with this Epstein thing and realizing they've been fooled over so many things. And all right, let's start knocking these dominoes over of all these things that you've been thought that were the truth. World War II and every single war, every single conflict that we've been in is an absolute lie. And so let's start with the Epstein files and start toppling dominoes and start red pilling, shoveling those red pills in your throat.
Well, this is what I think will happen as a result, because now this is unavoidable, right? And like talking about when you're talking about, there's certain things, child abuse, pedophilia, those are like things that most people are repulsed by to such a degree that it turns on this anger reaction, right? Anger is what changes things. It's not, times of peace don't change things that need to be changed. It's the anger. And right now, there are so many people that are angry that they're willing to consider things that they had not considered maybe ever, right? I think that if there was ever a time where like the political system in the United States was open for reform, that right now is it. This we might not ever have a chance to change the system that we are forced to operate in by the country that we live in, right? This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And anybody that's listening to this is what I ask, right? Is that to be open for the next few months until the elections in November, and it's trying to end in November during the elections. But that when we're talking about reforming a system, you have to consider that the old ways aren't working. And the only way to change the old ways is to do something new and different. And we because we're a political party, are trying to offer options. And I was just talking to Joey about this earlier, actually right before we got on, because we have hurdles as a political party to get onto the ballot that the major parties don't have, because they write the rules to benefit themselves. They don't write the rules to make it so that new people and new groups can come in and compete in positions of power. They've written it so that they can capitalize on their monopoly and keep the status quo going from now into the future. They don't want to give this up. What we need help with is manpower. We need people to remember why you are angry right now, and know that this is been something that's been simmering below the surface, but that now is the time for us to be able to kind of come together and unite and do something about this and change it and reject the status quo. That's the time for that, is now, is reject it. And so if you don't know what to do next, I ask that you send us an email, info@lpmn.org, get on our Facebook account, our Twitter account, message, ask for more information, even if we don't get back to you right away, because there's a lot of stuff happening right now and a lot of phone calls that are being made and a lot of coordinating that's being done. But, keep on it and come to our events, come and meet people. But we need manpower to keep this going. You don't have to agree with us on everything. My screen just froze. Do y'all still hear me?
Yeah,
I can still hear you.
Okay, because my screen is frozen. But you guys, for somebody to be like, oh, I want to help third parties, or I want to break apart the two-party system, reject the status quo. The way that we do that is by coming together and overlooking some of our differences. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, that we don't need to be perfect people. We just need to hold true to perfect ideas, right?
And we do have candidates who want to run.
Yes.
Our convention is upcoming, and we don't have any endorsed candidates until after the convention is over. So there are people like TJ who are planning on running for office, maybe as libertarian, maybe not. People like Chip Tangen and like, gosh, why can't I remember Charlie's name? Like Charlie, yes, who are running or planning to run for office as libertarians.
Wait.
And they don't have our endorsement yet, but after our convention, we expect that they will, unless something drastic changes. And there are other people too who have asked us about getting our endorsement, asked us about running under our names, but we have a lot of constraints that parties don't have. We're
Toby's running.
Logistics of whether or not we can afford to get boots on the ground to petition in all these places to get all these people on the ballot, because we only have the same 2-week span for every single race. So we have to figure out how to divide up our resources in that small span of time.
Yeah, it's a heck of a hurdle that
if that's the biggest complaint, I feel like we're doing pretty good.
Yes,
that 2-week period, man.
Oh, sorry.
That 2-week period to get all the signatures, and like you said, every single candidate has to have their own separate bunch of signatures. And what that does is, like you said, the manpower in each district. Like if you have statewide races, well, then everybody in the whole state get to sign those petitions. But if we're talking about sending somebody to DC for Congress, House member, they just get their district, and they need 1,000 signatures, I think, for that spot.
Yeah, and state house and state senate, they need 500. And that's a smaller geographic area.
So for the people in the comments, Joe, I just looked up to see if I found an email. I'm going to have to dig a little deeper. Or maybe Joey, if you see something, can you forward it to me? But I would love to like talk with you guys on the phone, and Evan, talk with you on the phone about what you're trying to start. And I think that there's a lot of room there. Like we've got a lot of opportunity, but the only way we're going to be able to do this is just to like get down and get our hands dirty and do the work. But I would really love to talk to you about this, both of you, more on the opportunities that there are coming up, because there's a lot, and we have some. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I feel like that we have some pretty good candidates.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm excited for this campaign season, for everybody to, to see what the feeling really is like when the flowers start blooming and we start getting to walk out there and knock on doors and actually get the feeling of what folks are thinking. I do a lot of volunteering at the food shelf, as you guys know, and I think a lot of these folks are really wanting to learn more. I think, typically it's been just, I hate to say it, but around here, just vote Democrat, and they just put on that hat and they just vote. And that vote blue, no matter who, is kind of a new thing. It's ridiculous, but whatever. But it's just always been the Democrats in Minnesota. And some folks just thought, I don't know what, ever since Reagan, right? And that one race where Minnesota, and some folks are really like hanging on that pride. I don't know what it is, but I've literally heard folks talk about that. Like,
I do feel like, though, that this is a kind of a symbol of older generations, that they're either very Democrat or very Republican. I think that the younger generations are more open to
I'm loving
feeling out something, looking for something different. And maybe that's partially like because of rejecting the politics of your parents. I don't know, but whatever it is, I'm here for it.
Yeah, same. Absolutely. I'm totally into seeing the young folks.
And I have had, I can't even tell you how many people I've heard have told me, maybe you're the same way, TJ, or like, well, this is the way it's always been, the two-party system. It's the way it's going to continue, blah, blah. But, like if they're, again, going back to like just simple human history, if there is one thing that's been constant, it's change. Change is always on the horizon. So why would we as a people be any different to something new coming around the corner? I feel like that if there was ever a time in our generations where American politics was going to look different going forward, that we're in the middle of it, and we already have a foundation to kind of, and the infrastructure to kind of start off of. We're not new. It's just that the two parties they've gone out of their way to ensure that nobody else gets a voice.
Right. And at the same time, worn out their welcome with all the people.
Yeah.
So the folks that, like Joe would ask, you guys got any candidates? And we have to explain this every time when folks ask us this. It's like, oh, we would love to. And I think a lot more folks might even jump ship from these other parties if they felt like they had a chance to be able to, not have to do this petitioning, which, man, I've done it twice now. And it's kind of a fun thing to do. It's not fun when you're stressing, when when you're getting towards that goal and you have all this time left, maybe it's like, oh, we're going to totally get this. And then and every door that I get to knock on, it's a little bitty campaigning. You know what I mean? It's a little bit of folks that get a face-to-face without me having to go knock on the door again, maybe,
Yeah.
And
well, look, here's the thing. For those of us that are running like big races where we need all the signatures, if we had 20 people each that committed to getting 50 signatures, and that's work, but it's not an extraordinary amount of work, but 50 signatures, 20 people, what is that?
It's halfway there.
So yeah, 1,000 signatures.
But of course, all the signatures need to be validated as well. So you got to add in some margin.
Got to do it right. It's easy.
Yeah, you definitely want to have a little cushion. That's for sure. And the first year of 22 when I did this, and we it was, they're going to scrutinize every little thing. I feel like those folks up at Secretary of State office, at least in that elections point or wherever, the folks that we hand those to, and they were pretty nice. They did kind of hose me over for like they said, we get 10 days to give you the results. I remember talking about this in 22 when we were on the show, actually, but they did it within 10 days and they totally approved every one of them. I believe. I don't even know if I get a record of it.
Yeah, you don't get a record of it.
Yeah.
They tell you if you hit the target or not. They do not tell you how much. They will, if you're short, they will tell you how many pages short you are. So they round to a multiple of 10.
Okay. Well, the pages were, because we changed that now. Now the pages only have 5 signatures each.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so there's a question on here, and I do want to address this since we kind of went totally off topic and are talking about this. So how do signatures work? It's for the state or specific districts. So when somebody is running for office, whatever their district is that they're running in, those are the only signatures that count. In the case of governor, secretary of state, auditor, attorney general, or U.S. Senate, those are statewide races. So anybody from anywhere in Minnesota can sign those petitions, and it doesn't matter. Now, in TJ's case, you're running for 44B, right? All 500 signatures have to come from within an address of 44B. And it would be the same if like somebody was running for CD1 or CD8. I think it's 1,000 signatures for those races. All 1,000 signatures have to come from somewhere within that district. So that's how it works.
The signer has to be someone who has a residence in there.
Yep. Yeah. So.
And they have to give the address and their year of birth.
Yeah.
And some folks really don't, especially folks like our type of folks don't like to give that type
Very
of stuff.
Suspicious. Who am I giving my information to?
That's one way. The other way is any donation over $20, they got to give us their name
their home address. Yeah. And I don't want to dox the people who give the party money.
Neither do
as the treasurer, but unfortunately I must make sure that the party is compliant with all election laws. and
Yeah.
election campaign finance laws require that.
Part of me.
So-
really-
Another question. I moved out of Minneapolis. I do still have friends there and can visit. I'm in Brown County. For those statewide races, it doesn't matter if you're in Minneapolis or not. You can collect signatures literally from anywhere in Minnesota.
all over the
Yep.
state. Yep.
Yep. And they have to be turned in to the Secretary of State's office by close of business on the final day of petitioning.
Which essentially means if you live outside of the Twin Cities metro, that you don't have that last day to collect signatures because you've got to be driving to make sure you get to the office in time.
Yeah, although last time around what time did we meet? Because I'm up in Bemidji, right? So
You scared the bejesus out of me.
yeah, sorry. I lost.
I was
I lost
convinced that you were going to be short signatures because of how close you were cutting things.
Yeah. But it worked out.
It did work out, yes.
I spend it normally takes me 4 hours to get from Bemidji to Minneapolis or St. Paul. But that day I think it took me closer to 7 because I was literally stopping at all the gas stations on my way down to the metro to get signatures from people who are actually very open to signing a petition to get a third party candidate on the ballot. People behind the gas at the gas stations. So that is definitely a strategy that worked for me. What's that?
I said, and hopefully more so now than they were 2 years ago.
Yeah, I bet they're more so now, but they were pretty there. They were already there before.
One thing that really gets me on that signature, I'm looking at the calendar right now to see Memorial Weekend is, it's early. So
yeah, there's
Memorial
2 Saturdays before Memorial Day. No, May this year has 5 weekends.
Right. Well, anyway, so I've had this tradition since I was a young kid. I'm not missing Memorial Weekend on North Shore of Lake Superior. And that's just a thing. And so that cuts my time into, 4 or 5 days out of that 2 weeks to be gathering those signatures, unless I was a state candidate, right? Which I'll be getting all the signatures of my buddies up there, or I can, still be petitioning while I'm camping. But yeah, they've really just kind of made it a narrow opening bottleneck for us.
And then National doesn't help our petitioning efforts by scheduling their convention for the same weekend. This is something we've discussed with them, and they are planning on changing that in the future, but the future isn't this year. So for the umpteenth time in a row, their biennial convention is scheduled during our biennial petitioning window.
Yeah.
Well, we got anything else to add about the Epstein stuff, or
I will add a little bit of clarification. Apparently, the whole Epstein did QAnon thing is fake news, but Epstein is responsible for the gamification of video game economies and quote unquote indoctrinating kids into an economy. So if you want to blame someone for microtransactions in video games, you can blame Jeffrey Epstein as much as you can blame Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick. So that's a fascinating little tidbit.
That's nice of him. I hate that stuff.
Well, yeah, I guess it's still better than involuntarily stealing your money out of your paycheck. The little stuff in the in-game apps or in-game purchases. I guess I don't play any of the console games to know how that stuff works.
I have kids that do, so
yeah, I can imagine.
I have to have a conversation. Like, you can't just keep buying things, because I have kids of all ages, so we have that conversation when they hit a certain age. Like, this is actual money. You can't just,
it's not just 16 digits on a card.
Yeah, you can't just spend actual money to get pretend money online. We're not going to do that.
Gosh, and imagine if it just was set up to where it's a button. Yep, I want it now. Yep, oh, I want that, and all the skins and
well,
all the
some
things.
of them
I know.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them are where you can just click a button. And so that's why that conversation is so important, because you can just like boop, boop, boop. And the kids, they know how to do that stuff.
Right.
They don't understand that it costs real
Yeah.
money. But what they do understand is that if they click these buttons, they get something for it, right?
Well, I've heard the Roblox is the real one is the concern.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah.
A lot of them are bad, but Roblox is particularly prolific.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of speculation or allegedly things that I've heard, right? Because I have seen my kids were playing that when they were young, along with Minecraft. It was kind of a similar thing to Minecraft, but Roblox was a little different where it's like chat rooms. And then you go inside rooms and you could like meet and transact with people online in this little 8-bit graphic thing. And
Yeah.
I don't know, it just seems way too weird to me. The crap that they're talking about, right?
Yeah. So I actually play Roblox with my kids. Don't tell anybody. Keep this just between us, okay? But I play I play Roblox with my kids and with the neighbors' kids, actually, and some of their other friends. They'll like get on the phone and they'll call each other and be like, hey, we're on Roblox. Is your mom playing? Yeah, my mom's playing tonight. And so I'll get on there and play Roblox with my kids. But yeah, there's like, you can do some chat, I guess, but I don't know, some of the games move so fast. I mean, you'd really have to like be intentional about that if you're going to, I don't know, you try to exploit that. So, all right, I got another question, then we'll probably get ready to be done this evening. But how can we help LPMN get libertarian candidates on the ballot for 2026? I'm glad you've asked. We need manpower. So if you really, really love petitioning, and I know we all do, that's our big major hurdle. Is the first thing that we have to get through is petitioning. What we also could use, and if there's the potential of hiring people to help us petition to get all of our candidates on the ballot, but that costs money, and we
still need to find the right people to do it, because petitioners don't grow on trees, paid or otherwise.
Well, that's things we're all working on. But so if you want to donate to the party, you could become a member, or you could just donate some money. We're not going to turn that down either. But that's essentially right now what it would go to, is to help get candidates on the ballot, if either through volunteer hours by petitioning, or by paying people to help us, literally hiring them to help us petition, in addition to what we're also doing. So we would be doing this from two different angles, from the volunteer hours and then also potentially hiring people. And we do have candidates that are already out. Not everybody is public about what they're planning on doing. TJ is, Charlie Kuklins is, but the other people are still kind of a work in progress. So by the time the LPMN convention comes out, all of those people that are running for an endorsement will be public and will be known. So that's kind of where we're at. And if you've liked what you've seen before, absolutely reach out and let us know, because right now I just feel it like in my soul, like right now is the time for change. So
look, I can stack them all up. No, I guess I can't. Just two.
You're trying to put all the lower thirds on the screen at once.
Yeah, no, that's it. And
yeah, man, and if you're one of those people who has a ton of friends and you think that going out and petitioning with your friends would be a really cool endeavor, if all of you get 20, 30, 40, 50 signatures each, that'd be fantastic. I'd love that.
Yeah.
During the specific window, following the template that we will provide during that window, or just in advance of it.
Yep. We'll have all the paperwork and everything with the instructions, and I'm hoping to actually offer also some classes on how to petition properly and some strategies that have worked.
We've got some LPMN volunteers that have come up with some training docs on petitioning, and we'll be reviewing those and refining them and sharing them.
Yep, absolutely. So in the meantime, if you want to avoid things like never-ending war with Iran or Venezuela or maybe Greenland, I don't know. I'm having trouble keeping up with who's next on the chopping block. But vote Libertarian. We're pretty much the only ones that are going to keep us out of wars. Everybody else likes it for some weird reason. So lpmn.org. You guys have anything else to say?
Nope, I'm good. That was a good show.
Good. All right, lpmn.org. You can join, become member, donate for our cause, and help us get our candidates on the ballot. And
have a good night. Live free.